Hi, this is Roy from Freshman Seminar, and this video is about the citizenship and being in Bangladesh. So Bangladesh is a country that's geographically sandwiched between India and Burma. But if you want to understand Bangladesh a bit better, uh, you should know that Bangladesh is actually ideologically sandwiched between India and Pakistan. So you see, in 1948, the greater Indian subcontinent was divided into India and Pakistan, where India was uh, made as the land for the Hindus, or the Hindustan, and Pakistan was made as the holy land for Muslims. So in 1971, the people in Bangladesh fought a very sanguinary and bloody war against Pakistan to gain independence as an independent, sovereign, and secular state where people of all creed and color could live together in harmony. So that's where Bangladesh stands. It stands to be a country that is between India and Pakistan as a harmonious land for people from all communal identities. So that's where the comparison of today comes from. Today I'm going to compare the citizenship and being of people from different communal identities in Bangladesh. If we want to delineate the communal groups in Bangladesh, we have to delineate them into two large chunks. One would be the Muslims, who make up the majority in Bangladesh, which is more than 90%, and the non-Muslims, which consists of Hindus, Buddhists, and Christians, and some religiously non-affiliated, who make up roughly around 10% of the population. So there is a majority minority dynamic going on here, and that's what would be our point of discussion today. So before we go into the facts of what is actually happening in Bangladesh for the past few decades, I want you guys to understand a bit about the context of Bangladesh as a society and a populace. So Bangladesh is actually an interesting place because there is a certain discrepancy between the ongoing culture and language of Bangladesh and the majority's religion. So, see, the culture is largely dependent on the classic myths, which is mostly dependent on the former religions of the land that are not so compatible um, with the current population, which is a Muslim majority that denounces any sort of myths. So, like, there is a sort of discrepancy between the culture and the religious majority. So, that's a kind of tension that makes Bangladesh go toward a secular state where culture would have its place in the society, while religion will have its place in a different sphere of society, which you don't see in most Islamic majority states. So as far as the legislation goes, secularism was included in the first constitution of Bangladesh in 1972, but was later removed in the Fifth Amendment uh, of the constitution in 1977. But this amendment was declared unconstitutional by the Bangladesh Supreme Court in 2010, and secularism was brought back by the 15th Amendment, which describes secularism as the elimination of all sorts of communalism from all spheres of the society. So this politics of religion has created a specific divide in the Bangladeshi culture, where the non-Muslim community is being used as a vote bank for the pro-secularist party, where the other party uses Islam as its vote bank. So that's why many attacks against non-Muslim communities are reported just after the election results are published, because many extremists of the opposition think that the results are because of the minority votes. That's why many members of the minority don't want to participate in politics. There has been an increasing amount of migration to India by the minority community, because they think it's just simply unsafe, because there have been incidents of communal violence in Bangladesh. But the government has not done enough to prevent this kinds of violence. Uh, but there is a certain element of hope in Bangladesh because the culture I'm from, the society I'm from, is the educated elite, and I must say, the educated elite is very non-communal and they are enlightened. So there is a certain enlightenment that's going on in Bangladesh, and so as you can see from the discussion about the legislation, that the political parties are using religion as a tool to gather votes from minorities, and the political division in Bangladesh is very pro theocracy and pro secularism. Uh, that's why there are specific vote banks where people of a specific creed would vote to a specific party, and there would be communal tensions just after an election, after after a judicial hearing. There are hate crimes going on in Bangladesh on a daily basis. But this is happening because of weak governance, because there is a very limited amount of people that are doing this. You have to understand the enlightened middle class do not support these kind of values. And I believe that the majority in Bangladesh would not support this kind of violence, but the weak government uh, lets this happen again and again. And this is all happening because of the lack of political education of the people, where the people in the culture do not ask the government to answer for its actions. The people do not have a sense of ownership of their government. This has to change. Education has to reach people. People have to understand what secularism means and how they should have secularism as a birthright. How religion should not be uh, be something that is used against them. They should feel comfortable in their own space, in their own identity, in their own creed. They should be free to change their religion, to pray to whatever god they like, or not to pray. It should be a personal liberty, and the state should be there to protect these rights, and people have to understand this. So the solution would be to simply expand education to the very root level of the country, so that the people understand what secularism means and what the advantages of secularism are, and how the people of the country fought for the values, and just enlighten the people and expand the elite middle class that can form newer political institutions that might lead to a better government that can provide for the people, that can protect the minority, that can give rights to people who stand for freedom of speech, freedom of religion. And it's still a long way to go for Bangladesh because the country is really young, and this is where we have to give the necessary resources to the country for its youth. This is Anupam Devashish Rai, and this is where I stand.